everyone, welcome back to another video. Today in this video we're going to talk about color combinations and how I put them together. Putting together color combinations, especially when you're a beginner, can be one of the most difficult things to do. On my channel I have posted lots of color combination videos where I share some of my favorite color combinations, and I've had so many of you tell me how much you love those videos because you don't have to pick out your own colors, and it makes it so much easier for you to just pull out a coloring page and get started. With that being said, I thought it would be a great idea to put together this video and show you how I choose my colors and how I put together my color combinations. In the first part of the video, I'm going to show you how I would do it using my swatch charts, and in the second part of the video, I'm going to show you how you can do it using a color wheel. If you check the description box down below, you will find links down there for my Facebook group, my Etsy shop, my email list, and my Patreon if you would like to support me there. I also now have channel membership. You can find more information out about that by clicking the join button down below this video. Now, for this video, I'm going to be using my Black Widows to demonstrate everything that I want to show you in this video, as well as showing you how I choose my colors to put together color combinations. I also have a sheet of paper here that I'm going to use to demonstrate how I would put those colors together so that they could come together beautifully and you get a really gorgeous blend of colors, as well as really smooth transitions. So first I want to talk a little bit about swatch charts. If you've been watching my videos for quite some time, you know that I'm always telling y'all how important it is to have a swatch chart for every single colored pencil set that you have. Now, the main reason swatch charts are very, very important is because you can see all of the colors all laid out. Now, this is my Black Widow swatch chart that is available in my Etsy shop. I took all 180 colors when they were first released and I put them all into color family order. Now, I not only put them into color family order, they are in order according to undertone as well. And when I'm making these swatch charts and I'm putting the pencils into color family order, I am swatching and re-swatching to make sure that I have it absolutely perfect. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is so that I could put together my colors. Having the charts laid out like this makes it so much easier to be able to put your colors together to create gorgeous color combinations. If you're a beginner at using colored pencils, I always suggest sticking to the same color family. And I'm going to show you first how to do that. And then in the second part of the video, I'm going to demonstrate with a color wheel how I would create color combinations that are from different color families. So if you look at my swatch chart, you can see that we have pinks starting from probably right about here, going all the way down here, all the way up into here. And then when we get down here, we start to get into the pinks that have a little bit more purple in them. But you can see by looking at the colors that all of the undertones are together. For instance, this pink here is a lighter version of this pink here. And then this pink here is a lighter version of this pink here. And so it makes it very, very easy to just look at your swatch chart, pick some colors, and put them together. So I'm going to come up to this section here. I would just look at my darker pinks and I would pick one of the darkest colors. Then I would move up a little bit further on my swatch chart. I would pick one of the more medium tones, and then I would choose a very light pink. And if I wanted to come all the way over here and choose a very light pink, I could do so. If I wanted to choose this very light pink, I could do that as well. But when you're picking your colors, you always want to make sure, especially if you're only picking 3 colors, you want to make sure there is a very big difference in the value of the colors. Meaning you want a very dark color, and then you want a very, very light pastel color. And then when you choose your midtone, you want to choose something that comes right in between the two of those. So I always like going really, really dark. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and choose this Ruby Rose here, which is a really pretty pink, and it does have a little bit of purple in it. You could see here on my swatch chart, we're starting to get into the pinks that have a little bit more purple in them right here in this section. And then that starts to bring us into our shades of purple. So I'm going to go with the Ruby Rose, and then I want to move down my swatch chart and I want to find something very, very much lighter for my lightest shade. So I can come all the way here and choose this hot pink, which you can see by looking is much lighter than the Ruby Rose. If I wanted to, I could even come down here to some of these other pinks and I can use use one of those. This light pink here is very beautiful and very pastel-y. I could use that if I wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to go that light. I also have some pinks up through here that are fairly light, but they do have a different undertone. If you were using some of these colors, I would probably go and stay in this section here. So if I'm sticking to this upper section of pinks here, and I want to go with my Ruby Rose, I'm going to go with something for my lightest color that is much lighter. So I'm probably just going to choose the hot pink. If you look at the Ruby Rose and the hot pink, you could see that there is a pretty big difference in the values of these two colors. And then so I would need to choose something that is going to come right in the middle of these two. And I would probably have to go with the bubblegum. So we're going to go with Ruby Rose, bubblegum, and hot pink. Okay, so here are my pencils. I think it was, did I say bubblegum? So I could see that the bubblegum is right here. And these are all in order just as the swatch chart is. So I've got bubblegum, here's my hot pink. And then so Ruby Rose is going to be further down here. I think it's right here. So it was really easy for me to be able to pull those right out of my case because they're in the exact order that my swatch chart is in. So I have my three colors, and if you've been watching my videos for quite some time, you know that I always hold my pencils in my hand and I always hold them in the order of the color combination that I'm using because I don't want to grab the wrong pencil. And a lot of times when you are using a budget set and not necessarily an artist grade set, you can see that the color dipped tips on these pencils, these look almost the same. This one does look much lighter. This is the color I chose for my midtone. This is the bubblegum. And you can see by looking at the swatch chart that the bubblegum definitely does not match what's going to go down on my coloring page or on my paper. You can see that this is much, much darker. It even looks much closer and matches the Ruby Rose much better. And that's why I always hold them in my hand according to their values. Now, if you look at the tip of the pencil, of course, you'll be able to see which is which. But a lot of times when I'm holding them in my hand, I'm holding them like this so I could just grab them and I can color. Now, I'm going to show you how I would lay these down on the paper so that they all come together beautifully and we get a really nice blend of colors and really smooth transitions. And I'm going to imagine that I'm coloring a flower or whatever I would be coloring in a coloring book. And I'm going to lay my color combination down just like that. So I'm going to start with my lightest color and I'm going to lay this down here. Just one nice, very light layer. Then I'm going to grab the bubble gum and I'm going to go over that lightest color and I'm going to pull down, but not all the way because I still want to be able to see that highlighted area. Then I'm going to grab my Ruby Rose and I'm going to go a little bit above here because if I were doing this in a coloring book and I were coloring something like a flower, I would really want my darkest color to stand out. That's what's going to create a lot of depth. And so I'm just going to pull that down into the midtone, but not all the way. I still want that midtone to really show through as well as my lightest color. Now I'm going to come back with my lightest color and I'm going to create another layer. And of course, as I come down, I just lift up just a little bit because if I were coloring a flower or anything in a coloring book, sometimes I like to use the white of the paper and a much lighter layer of whatever my highlight color is. So I just pull up a little bit when I'm coming down. And so then I have a much lighter value of my lightest color. Now I have my bubble gum, which is my midtone, and I'm going to start right about here. And I'm going to create another layer with my midtone going over those transition areas. And I'm going to pull down into my lightest color, but not all the way. And as I come into that lightest color, I'm going to pull up on the pressure on my pencil just a little bit because I want a really smooth transition right here. Then I'm going to grab my darkest color and I'm going to create another layer of that and I'm going to pull it down into my midtone. And of course, just like I did before, I'm going to start to pull up on the pressure on my pencil just a little bit. And you can see I'm getting a really seamless transition right here where I have my darkest color and my midtone. And I also right here have a really gorgeous blend of the darkest color and the midtone. And right here is the transition where I have the midtone and the lightest color right here in this section. So it doesn't only end up looking like I'm using 3 colors, it looks like I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. So let's go ahead and add another layer here, and I'm just going to go over this with a little bit harder pressure because I'm coming to the end now, and then I'll pull it down a little bit lighter down here. Then I have my bubble gum, and I'm going to start up here where I had those colors transitioning, and I'm going to pull down into that lightest color, and then I'm going to grab my ruby rose, and I'm going to go over that again. And now I'm going over the transition area right down into that mid-tone and lifting up as I come into the mid-tone. And we've got a gorgeous blend of colors. Now, if you want to, you can always come back and go the other direction, just so you could start covering some of the white of the paper, because you can see that there's still a lot of the white of the paper showing, and it will most likely be the same way in your coloring books. Now, it really all depends on whether or not your coloring book has smoother paper or your coloring book that you're coloring and has a little bit more tooth. Now, this spring hill paper does have a little bit more tooth, so you're going to see a lot more of the white showing, and you really do need to come in and burnish that out if that is the look you're going for. Sometimes I like for a little bit of the white of the paper to show, depending upon what it is that I'm coloring. So if I were to come back and go the other direction, I would just grab my darkest color and I would pull it down into the mid-tone, just going the opposite direction of what I was doing before. And then I would grab my mid-tone and I would go over that transition area again, and you can see that that color is really starting to fill the white of the paper now. And again, as I'm pulling it down into the lightest color, I'm going to pull up on the pressure of my pencil just a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and do the same thing, and look how much that white is really starting to get covered now. And if you want to take your lightest color and you want to use that one to burnish and go over the whole entire thing, you can do that as well, and that will help you to get rid of a lot of the white of the paper. And then you can even come back and go the opposite direction and pull that color down even more. And now we've gotten rid of most of the white of the paper, and we've got a really gorgeous blend with beautiful transitions. Hopefully now you can see why swatch charts are so important. It just makes it so much easier to choose your colors. You just choose your darkest color and then your lightest color, and then choose something right in the middle. And if there's a pretty big difference in the values of your colors, they're going to come together beautifully, and then when you lay them out, they're also going to create a beautiful blend of each one of the colors. As you can see, the blend here in this transition area, and then another blend here in this transition area. And honestly, that's really all you need is 3 colors. I know a lot of times if you're following one of my tutorials, you'll see me grab 5, 6, 7 colors sometimes, and that's fine to do as well. I really love mixing up my colors and pulling in colors from different color families and really testing out my pencils and seeing what I could create. But when I'm doing a tutorial for one of my adult coloring for beginners series, then I am going to make sure that I don't usually use more than 4 colors for any one particular part of the object I'm coloring. At least I try not to. Sometimes it gets really tempting and I'm just itching to grab another color, or I need to grab another color because I need to create a little bit more depth. And you can totally do that with this too. If you wanted to create a little bit more depth here after you've got just those 3 colors down, our darkest color was this ruby rose. A really good color to be able to blend with would be something that is in your purple color family. And we do have a few purples here. We have one here that is very, very dark. If I took that deep purple and I added it in there, especially if I was coloring a flower and my darkest color was a ruby rose and I wanted to add that dark purple in, that would create so much added depth. But our swatch charts are also a really great resource, especially when they're in this order or the order according to a color wheel, to be able to know which colors to be able to put together if you wanted to go out of any particular color family. So generally when I'm using reds, I like to mix my reds with my oranges and my yellows. A lot of times I'll pick one red and then an orange and then a yellow, and you can see that looking at my swatch chart that they're in that order. So if I wanted to take any of the purples, I could take any of these darker purples and I could blend them in with any of these shades of blue and it would be super pretty. If I wanted to take some of these blues and blend it with any of these greens, that would be super pretty too. The color wheel is in order just like my swatch chart is. If I don't have my colors swatched out, I can use the color wheel. So I would just choose a red, then I would go to an orange, and then I would go to a yellow. I could also do the same thing if I wanted to start at blues, I could go with a blue and then a green and then blend that into a yellow, and that would be super, super pretty. So essentially what you're doing is just choosing one color from each neighboring color family on your color wheel, just like we did on the swatch chart. I want to show you how we would use this to go ahead and put a color combination together. I want to try to blend together some things on this side since I already did some shades of pink for the first color combination. So I think I want to do violet and then maybe blue and then go into something that has a little bit of green in it. So we're going to stay right up here in this section when we put our colors together. But we're going to have something that has a little bit of purple in it, and then we're going to have something that has some blue in it, and then we're going to have something that has some blue-green in it. So you can use your color wheel to match up to the colors on your swatch chart if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just go in and choose your colors. But if you do happen to have a color wheel as well as your swatch chart, I'm going to show you now how you could use your color wheel to match your colors on your swatch chart to create your color combination. So let's go ahead and start with our shade of violet, and I think I'm going to go ahead and choose grape for my darkest color. For my lightest color, I wanted to use something that was a shade of blue-green, and so I'm going to choose from this section here, and I think I want to use something that has a little bit more blue in it. I think I might go with denim. We have grape and we have denim so far. Now we need to choose something that is about halfway in between those, and I think that I want to go with Blue Horizon. So I have my three colors. I've got grape, Blue Horizon, and denim, and I've got them in the order that I want to lay them down into my color combination. I'm just going to lay my lightest color down here. Then I have my next color, which is my mid-tone, and I'm doing the same thing I did before where I'm just pulling up right here at that transition area. Now I'm going to lay down my grape, which is my darkest color, and I'm going to pull that down into my mid-tone. Now I'm going to do the same thing again with the lightest color, adding another layer, and then my second color, which is my mid-tone, lifting up as I pull down into that lightest color. And then I am going to grab my grape, and because these are different color families, they are going to be a little bit harder to get a nice blend. So as you're coming down into that mid-tone, make sure that you definitely pull up on that color, and you can see that it's creating another really pretty color. So now I'm going to lay down another layer of my lightest color, and now my mid-tone, and now my darkest color. And I'm just going to keep doing the same thing until I get rid of a lot of this white of the paper. Now let's come back with the darkest color, and you can see how nicely that purple is blending into that medium shade of blue. But we probably should go back the other direction. Let me start with my darkest color, and I'm just going to go over and pull down into the transition area. Now I have the Blue Horizon, and I'm going to pull that down into the lightest color, and then I'm going to grab my lightest color and blend all of that out, trying to get rid of a lot of that white of the paper. And let's see if I can do it just one more time. That color's really starting to move around now. And you would just apply the same technique to your coloring books, but look how beautiful these two colors are blending together, and look at this new color or blend of colors that it's actually creating right here in this section. And then we also have a blend of colors right here in this section, but because these are closer into the same color family, you can't see it as much. But if you look really closely, you could see that there is a different color from here. This is much more vibrant, where it was just the mid-tone all alone, and then it lightens up here where the mid-tone meets the lightest color in that transition area there. Now if you wanted to do this with a color that had a lot more green in it, you could totally do that. You would just come more down into this section here and maybe choose something like the sky for your lightest color, or even this Blue Heaven that has a little bit more green in it than the denim does. The denim is a really light shade of blue, but it looks like it has a tad bit of green in it if you look here and compare it to the actual color wheel. So if we go here to the blue-green section rather than the green-blue section, you can see that this Blue Heaven would fit right along here. And so I could have gone with the Blue Heaven and it would have changed it up just a little bit more, but I think these colors that we chose are really, really pretty. So I hope this video was helpful in showing you how to put your colors together together and create beautiful color combinations, and how to lay the colors down so that you can create those beautiful color transitions. If you would like to see any more videos like this, please let me know. I love putting colors together and creating color combinations. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. But if you would love to see more examples, or even for me to do another video where I just share color combinations, I would love to do that. Just let me know in the comments below which colored pencils you would like to see me create color combinations with. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coloring. Bye.